Welcome everybody. It's the next episode of Saudi Football Fanatics, and it's a big surprise because we have the full team available. Hi guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
So, how was your week? I think the first thing we should talk about is the wonderful Champions League results.
Yes, we can start with that. But if you talk about my week, it's still Monday, so it's not the best yet. But if you thought about the last week, it was beautiful. I don't know why, but it was really nice. So maybe if Andris would like to say something else or not, I don't know. But maybe we can go through with this Champions League topic first, as Yula mentioned.
Nothing really to report. Busy times, but I believe we can continue with the Champions League, which had interesting developments.
Probably just we should say that yes, there was the transfer window, which was a little bit more eventful than we originally expected, although not really surprised about it because, as we discussed it, there are only intra-league movements were the majority of the transfers, and what we were looking forward the most is whether the strengthened Ettifaq team and Al-Shabab team is going to shine, and we will discuss it later. And yes, it's maybe a little bit harsh that not a lot of things happened because of the Champions League, but yeah, apart from that, now that the transfer window is closed and the Asia Cup is closed, it's rather, I would say, we are back to business.
Yes, regarding the Champions League, to be honest, there wasn't any surprise for me. The big three from the league went through quite easily. Maybe Ittihad's game was a little bit risky, mainly the second leg, but no surprise anyway. And also on the Hilal and the Nassr matches. I'm really sorry about Fayha. It would have been much better if they did not play against Nassr, but another team maybe. And that way we could have 4 Saudi teams now. But maybe next time. But not with Fayha.
That would have been wonderful, and poor Fayha was fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, but there are 4 teams now, basically on the eastern part of the western part of the Champions League remained there, and apart from the 3 Saudi teams which qualified for this quarterfinal, Al Ain is the 4th team, and Al Ain was the group member, or it was in the same group, if you remember, as Al Fayha. So I'm not sure that they could have been drawn together in this stage.
Yeah.
So probably this was unavoidable that at most 3 Saudi teams got into this quarterfinal section, which is basically the Western semi-final. So out of the 4 teams, 3 Saudi, which is a very great success and a power demonstration.
Obviously we have to congratulate the teams. It's just really a big achievement.
And
it's great.
Yeah, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, and to be honest, all the 3 teams are much stronger than Fayha anyway. So for the Saudi football itself, I think it's much better to have 3 giants in the semi-finals of the Western spot than maybe a little bit weaker Fayha as a surprise.
Yeah, and also good news that you mentioned already that basically all of the Saudi teams' matches went pretty smooth for the Saudi teams, with the exception of Al-Ittihad against Nafbahor. But yeah, that was, I believe, 1 out of the 10 situation here. It's very interesting that Nafbahor Namangan, the opponent of Al-Ittihad, basically did not achieve any shot on target during this second leg, and even with that they scored a goal thanks to poor Karim Benzema, who returned with an own goal in the first half. But during the 90 minutes, Nafbahor Namangan did not have any shot on target. And even with this performance, they almost, or it's not almost, but they had the chance to go forward to the semi-final. But fortunately for us, Hamdallah came and in the last minutes of the first half, in a very good point of the game, scored, and therefore Al-Ittihad could start the second half with a more relaxed manner, and until the end of the 90 minutes they successfully beaten Navbahor Namangan, but this was a nail-biter.
Really, it was a little bit more tense, probably than many of us wanted it to be. But yes, here again, to the expected goals funds, what do you do with these sort of situations when there are no shots on target and there is a goal? Expected goals thrown out of the window again.
Probably. or probably you just measure the expected goal of Karim Benzema heading in his own, or targeting his own goal, which is probably not much, but even with the best it can happen. But apart from that, it was a great match for Al-Ittihad and successfully went through.
Yeah, but don't forget that for me, at least, the hardest part of the season for Ittihad is yet to come, because now they will have 3 matches against Al Hilal after one another, I think within 10 or 11 days, also in the league and in the Champions League as well. So it could determine these 3 matches the whole season for them, whether they can reach the finals in the Champions League and win at least 1 cup in the season, or, for example, on the level of the league, but we will talk about that later, whether they can reach the Champions League spots again. So, that will be a hard 11 days for Ittihad.
Yeah, no one, probably I can say that no one wants to play 3 times in a row with Al Hilal within a short period of time.
Obviously, yeah.
In general, that's not good for confidence.
Well, if they can somehow beat them, then it's going to be good for the confidence. But at this stage, even I dare say this, that not only in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia but worldwide, Al Hilal is one of the most informed teams. So I wouldn't really want to play against them if I were the opponent. But it's not up for Al-Ittihad to decide, so they have to.
But fortunately, you are not the opponent, Yula.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, but I think Al-Ittihad will have a chance, so it's not that it's already decided. And we already talked about in the previous episode that this period may be a rebound for Al-Ittihad in terms of forms. They started this second half of the year pretty good. Yeah, they are playing actually with Al-Vekta as we are recording this episode. Does anyone know what is the current result?
Maybe it's 1-0 for Vekta, but just a second.
Yeah, it's still
1-0. Oh, and at the end of sorry, I'm just checking, and actually Karim Benzema just missed penalty.
Oh. That's
so after an own goal, he has now a missed penalty. Maybe he shouldn't have missed those trainings during the winter, what we talked about earlier.
He's not lucky. He's not lucky either. A goal was taken away from him in the 30 minutes, as I can see. Yeah, but you are right. Probably this absence from the training camp has put his mark on his form.
Yeah.
Obviously, Al-Hilal Al-Ittihad matches will be very interesting for the Saudi football fans. The Saudi El Clasico is going to be played in 3 consecutive times now, and there is a chance that Al-Hilal and Al-Ittihad will meet in the King's Cup as well once the matches are decided. So probably these won't be the last time when we see these 2 teams play against each other, even if you miss all the 3 occasions.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say when Mark raised this problem, that they will now face 3 times Al-Hilal, and therefore even their next season can be decided by this, because it will be decided whether they won a cup or not, or whether they get a Champions League spot in the league. Yeah, and that's all true. But they had a third chance for that. They are still staying in the King Cup. They are in the semi-finals, and we all know that if they won the King Cup, then they will have a Champions League spot as well. So they have all the chances, but obviously playing with Al-Hilal that much time is not something that can be overlooked if we are talking about chances.
So we talked a lot about Ittihad. Maybe we should say a proper goodbye for Fayha, the last King's Cup winners. What do you think of them? Was it a surprise anyway that they reached the quarterfinals, or they could have beat Nassr? Because it was quite simple for Nassr, I think, but I don't know. Before the game, I thought about it whether they have a chance because it's still a cup and not the league. But after the matches, as I saw, they don't really have any chance against Nassr.
No, that's right. Yeah, to answer your question, first of all, I believe it was not surprising that they qualified from the group stage to the knockout stage, but as they started with losses in the group stage, afterward it was a bit of a surprise, but they have a very great run in the second half of the group stages, so they could manage to qualify amongst the knockout stage teams. And this is also interesting to note that they were in the same group, as I already mentioned, with Al Ain, the Emirates champion, who will be the next opponent in the Western semi-final of Al Nassr. And Al Ain beat Al Fayha quite easily. But that's only when we were talking about the chances for Al Nassr and Al Ain. As regards your question, yeah, the match was pretty easy for Al Nassr, as expected. I believe Al Nassr didn't play well, so their game, their play is really not smooth. They have high possession without any chances, basically, in some of the cases. But it was even enough against Al Fayha, because Al Fayha actually did not have a shot on target during 180 minutes. So during the two legs, they did not have any shot on target. Basically,
well, we have already seen that's not a requirement to score a goal.
Yes, but Al Nassr wasn't kind enough to score an own goal to Al Fayha. So it was a pretty easy, as an aggregate, it was 3-0. But I think this is a very great achievement for Al Fayha to stay alive so far in this Champions League knockout stage, and this was only the reality. Al Nassr has to improve if they want to beat Al Ain. That's for sure, because Al Ain is a much harder opponent will be now. But we are talking about the Western semi-finals now.
And what could be the goal for Fayha for the rest of the season? Because I just checked the table again, and they are in the 10th spot, far away from the relegation zone, 7 points, and also far away from the Champions League spots. So they are halfway from anything. So I don't know whether they should just concentrate on to build a better team in the second half of the year, and maybe just to have a solid basis for the next season, or what could be the goal for this kind of a team who has not got anything to fear from, but also they cannot fight for anything for now. So it's quite hard for these kind of middle table teams, I think.
Maybe don't be so hasty on thinking that anyone has avoided relegation, because if you check their recent form, I mean, Al Fayha's recent form, if you deduct their recent 2 victories from their current number of collected points, then they would have been in a much worse situation. But what I want to say here is that 7 points is not very lot. not very much. And although yes, it may seem to be far away now, especially if we see the utterly abysmal form of the bottom three. Sorry about it, but
okay, but if we check the bottom three and also Al-Riyadh, no one win games in this season. So
but
I think it's not a problem for Fayha either.
These bottom teams are going to play against each other, and even if one or two of them catches form, then anyone ahead of them could be in trouble. Just look at Al-Ittihad, who just miraculously climbed out of the relegation zone, and can say what you said about Al-Fayha, that they are no far away, but through face you have to concentrate the 4 seasons. So I don't think Al-Fayha is going to just sit back and relax because nothing can really happen to them, neither good nor bad. I think that they are fully aware of the fact that they still have to fight on, and don't really understand the question, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand it partially. So, okay. Yeah, you are right. Obviously, they shouldn't be that confident that they will stay in the league, but in reality, they will probably stay in the league.
Yeah, I don't want to say that they will just relegate.
I'm just saying that for example, on the matches which are not that important, and it can be, for example, the matches with very strong opponents, because they could just experiment with one or two younger players, or change some formation, or what just Mark mentioned, to find out new strategies, tactics, build a squad a bit by that way. And I think they should do that. On the other hand, they should not take this position of theirs currently guaranteed, because yes, the last 3 or 4 teams are not really winning matches, that's true, but obviously it can change miraculously at some part of the season, and they can find themselves in trouble, and that's something that they should avoid. But I'm not really expecting that, to be honest.
Okay, and sorry about that. Just to close the Champions League topics, maybe some thoughts about Al-Nassr. You mentioned that they could be much better next game against Al-Ain, who is, I think, a much stronger opponent than Fayha was, based on only the results and their performance in the Qatari league. But what do you think? Ronaldo can win the Champions League here as well, or will there be any stuff for him? If not Al-Ain, there is still Hilal and Ittihad, and who knows in the finals. Could he win it this season? Or
yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
That's all then.
Yeah, I mean, he is Mr. Champions. He is Mr. Champions League, whatever part of the world he is currently, and if you think about it, if you hear the word Champions League, then even his pretty good skills and form improving 2 times, and is even better. Just think about the Arab Cup Champions League topic. That's the only time when Al-Nassr beat Al Hilal this year, and it was some kind of a Champions League as well. And I believe they have the capacity to do that. The main opponent might be obviously Al Hilal, who is who has the most of the chances to win this series, in my opinion. But I believe that yes, with Ronaldo they can do that. But first they would need to manage Al-Ain, which is a pretty good team. Obviously, I would say Al-Nassr has higher chances, but this is now this is not an obvious fixture. They should especially concentrate on the dynamic duo of Al-Ain, which is Laba and Rahimi, strikers and winger from Togo and Morocco. They are very efficient, also pretty high at the top goal scorer list of the Champions League at the moment. It will be very hard to stop them. This task will be probably allocated to Ali Lajami, who obviously defends Al-Nassr's right flank. He will need his best form. In some cases we have seen that during the Asian Cup. We will need the best from him. This will be a very difficult setup and fixture, but I believe Al-Nassr will progress. And then, the Western final against either Al Hilal or Al-Ittihad.
All right. So you think that Nassr can do it, and it's obviously a strong possibility. We will see. Saudi football fans will have a lot of big games to look forward to, and we all hope that Al Nassr is going to progress against Al Ain. But now let's close the Champions League topic, as you suggested, and let's move to the Roshn Saudi League.
Roshn!
Roshn! Saudi League.
So, where should we start? We have talked about Ittihad already a lot, and I can say that we wanted to talk about them and their return to form, which is currently about to be lost against Al-Wehda, as Al-Wehda is 1-0 up in halftime. We will see how it will end, but we can talk about quite a lot of things. So I let you pick one. We can talk about the relegation derbies and the abysmal form of Altay or Abha. And we can also talk about Al-Ittihad and their new-looking team, or not new-looking team, but how the new signings settled, and that Al-Hilal still seems to be unbeatable. Well, the Al-Ittihad matches will certainly be interesting in this respect too. So how should we progress?
Maybe we should close this Ittihad topic first, as we already started it. As I saw there, they won their last two matches pretty easily, and it should have been the case against Wehda as well, I think, mainly at home. But now we see that they are struggling again, just like in the autumn. So in my notes, I see that I wrote down that could it be a new hope for Ittihad this season, starting for the spring? But now, as I see, if they cannot turn this match, then it could be the end as well, because it could be a home loss against Wehda, and could be 9 points away from the third place and the Champions League spots. Now it's 6, I think. So yeah, I'm a little bit sad about that, to be honest.
Not a good omen for them before the Al-Hilal matches that the person scoring the only goal of this Wehda match is the former Hilal striker, Ikalo.
And also, to be honest, I do not know whether you spoke about their transfers, because our last episode just aired this afternoon. But as I saw, they only brought in some domestic players, and their biggest transfer, which isn't a transfer actually, could be that Karim is back, healthy, and will play on all the matches, hopefully. I don't know. What do you think of them?
Well, we can easily spot that none of the Al-Gandis are included in the starting lineup.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But to answer just very, very briefly, they should win this Al-Wehda match. We will see. We have 45 minutes from it. But even if they don't, they will have the chance, because if you think about it, if they win the King's Cup, then they reserve a Champions League spot for themselves. And if they don't win the King's Cup, that means that either Al Nassr, or Al Hilal or Al Khalay won it. And no disrespect to Al Khalay, but probably this would be from Al Hilal or Al Nassr in that case. And Al Hilal and Al Nassr will probably finish in the first and second position, probably in this order. But nevertheless, that would mean that there would be a fourth Champions League spot selected from the league. So basically, that would, as per the current stance, be decided between Al-Ittihad and Al Tawun. If Al-Ittihad wins today's match, then they can reduce the difference to 1 point. If they lose it, then it will be 4 points, obviously. So it is important, but we have a lot of matches still, and Al Tawun will have a very hard time to compensate the absence of Alvaro Medran. Now they won against Al Ogdud in this round, but let's say that their play was really not convincing to me. Although they scored 3 goals, but their defense was all right. But nevertheless, what I want to say is that I'm not that sure that Al Tawun can keep its pretty good form until the end of the season. So it would be a great clash between the two of these teams. So what I suspect is Al-Ittihad, for Al-Ittihad is enough to land at the 4th spot. So it's either Al Tawun or Al-Ittihad for myself. Obviously,
or it could be Damak, because
Yeah.
it's only 7 points, and
Yes.
as just Yula mentioned regarding Al Fayha, that 7 points could be nothing in 2 or 3 rounds.
Especially
it could be the
Kudu
same
keeps
on the top.
scoring.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
he's
who just scored again.
Oh, yes, what a surprise. It's not.
For me, Damak is kind of a hidden favorite, and I really would like them to succeed deeply. Although they kind of lost momentum in the last matches, as you could see. So they couldn't win the last 2. It doesn't mean that they will not win the rest of the games. Sorry, the last 3 match. They couldn't win the last 3 match. Apart from that, Damak is an obviously very strong side, especially the likes of Nkudu. I didn't want to leave them out, so they also have a chance for the 4th place and thus the Champions League spot. I believe it would be a bit of a surprise, even if it's considering that Damak is a pretty strong team in this season, and we are very happy of them. But yeah, to be correct, it's fair to say that they also have the chance.
Yeah, but it could also mean if they stay in this 6th or 5th or 7th, it doesn't matter, position, their players could be good choices in the next season in the RSL fantasy, what we are planning to do.
Yeah.
From other hand, it could be a good news if they do not reach the Champions League spots.
That's totally correct. And this is place for a quick advertisement that from next season we will open an RSL fantasy channel within this podcast, and we will discuss about that. But more about that later.
Yeah.
So we can continue probably with Al-Ettifaq chances.
Yeah, it's a fair continuation to the Alvaro Medran topic, which you just raised about Al Tawun's difficulties. Al-Ettifaq's midfield is looking strong with this Medran, Fofana, Wijnaldum trio. So if you check their midfield and attacking department, you could see it's a very strong team, and obviously we already covered it, but just let's emphasize that they strengthen their team very significantly. But as we can see, the real test, which finds any team sooner rather than later, I mean, playing against Al-Hilal has just come, and Al-Hilal has beaten them on home ground. So I don't know whether we should draw conclusions on the fact that Al-Ittihad lost to one of the most informed teams in the entire world or not. But the real test was not won by Al-Ittihad in my eyes, and obviously Al-Ittihad wants to compete with the very top teams.
But is this the real test? Because I can't agree with that, because I think they are not a top team yet. They are almost in that place. Of course, not its 8th place, because it's a really weak performance for them, and mainly that not losing, but almost nil point streak with 8 games, I think. It's not the best from them, but to be honest, their real place should be, in my opinion, the around somewhere the 5th place, if we count in that there could be a surprise team like Al Tawun or Damak. So I don't know whether Hilal is a real test. They should beat first the other top mid table teams.
Well, they will have the chance because next round they will play against Damak. So we will see that. But obviously,
I would say that's the real test for them, not this Hilal match. But okay.
I also agree with Mark here. Jula, sorry, basically the second time today. So I've been.
I'm just checking. Sorry, I'm just checking their fixtures. Their next match will be on away ground against Damak, and then comes the real test when they are on home ground against Apa.
And we will. Against Apa. Okay, our hidden favorite team. But Mark mentioned this is correct. They are in an in-build shape. Let's call it that way. Al-Ittihad, they now have a pretty solid midfield and attacking section, especially with signing Medran, loaning Fofana. Basically, they have kind of a world-class players in their team.
And of course, they have now Toko Ekambi,
and
the Leon legends. Yeah.
You are right, Toko Ekambi as well. So, wow, it's pretty strong side, but they couldn't manage to strengthen their defense, and I see the problem with that segment because they didn't operate that well. Anyway, just a fun fact for Al-Ittihad, because I was just checking that they are currently the perfect mid-table team. They are 9th out of the 18th play. If Al-Wehda wins the match, because this is the live table what I mentioned. And out of the 21 matches, they have 7 wins, 7 draws, and 7 losses, and with a 0 goal difference. So they currently the perfect mid-table team for
the definition of mid-table.
Yeah,
but
just
they are
Manchester United is
just like Manchester United.
But they will, and they have to, and they will improve. They are currently underperforming. That's, I believe, we can say.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But just to defend my point, I mean that probably Al-Ittihad wants to compete with the very top teams in this league, which probably they should based on their ambitions and signings. But yes, it's probably not this season, but they are in a building mode, as you emphasized. But now we will see, because I just further checked their next fixtures, and it's going to be Damak, Abha, Altai, and then a big match against Al Ahly. So they will have the chance to play against some of the stronger teams. Let me just count Damak on the stronger side and some of the relegation fighters. So probably
I think from the next 3 matches they would need at least 7 points. But if they want to finish ahead of Damak at the end of the season, then 9 points anyway. So
yeah, and then the next match is against Al Fateh, who are also a very mid-table type team. So based on the statistics, so yeah, we will be much more clever in the next 4 to 5 matches as to how the team is operating. Let me just continue with the lower end of the table, because we were just discussing prior to this podcast that if we check the form table, we don't really see victories in this segment of the table. But I think we already mentioned it during this podcast. So it's quite concerning for a lot of teams. And let me just talk about our not so hidden favorite Abha, who really should have gotten something from their last match, just to be conservative with the wording, that gotten something, because they have got nothing out of it, and they played the entire match against the already mentioned Al-Fayha. Yes, on away ground, but they were playing against 10 men, literally the entire match, and they have just lost. And it's very sad, and we have already seen that Abha fans are already very disappointed, and we can relate to that. is there any chance for Abha to get out of it? How do you see this? Because now that there is no more account before them, and they keep conceding so many goals, I'm a little bit concerned about our secret favorite.
I think it will be decided mainly in the next round, whether they have a chance anyway, because they will play against Altai, which is the only team in the league which is in a worse form than Abha. So if they can win that game, they will be even on the 16th place, and they will be only 2 points from Ariad and Arad. So I think, yes, they can avoid the relegation, but for that, they have to win their next game.
It's difficult to see them winning after their recent form, but good luck, Abha. You will need it. And also good luck to Altai, who really, well, it's really a bad run of form.
I don't understand, to be honest, what's happening with them. They were kind of a solid team so far, and this is just I cannot explain at the moment. Would need to dig into it, but this position of theirs and their recent form is very disappointing for all of their fans. For Abha, it will be very difficult. Yes, many things will be decided, I believe, for the next round against when these two teams are playing with each other. But honestly, my heart and my brain tells different things here. After losing Tokoe Kambi, their chances did not increase. I mean, for Abha's chances. So it will be pretty difficult for them, and they lost a very great opportunity to acquire all 3 points, what Mark just mentioned. So, yeah, we will definitely talk about Abha and Altai's fixture in one of the next podcasts.
Yeah, big matches are upcoming for the relegation threatened team, because after the next round there will be an Altai Al Hazen match as well. So
before that we have an Ogdud against Ariad. So it will be quite interesting, maybe much more interesting than the battle for the championship itself.
Yeah, probably. But especially after this Ettifaq match, it's really difficult to see how Al Hilal will draw points. But if you do not have any other topics, I would just talk about a little bit about Al-Shabab and Al-Nassr's match, because that was a real derby, and I think this is the type of match why everyone should watch the Roshn Saudi League. It was a really big match, a very entertaining and quality football.
Roshn!
Roshn! Saudi League.
With a very great quality, not to speak about that.
Yeah, quality, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Want to start, or Mark, or should I share my thoughts, or how?
As a dedicated Al-Nassr fan, I think you should go ahead, because it was a big victory for Al-Nassr, and the match needed 3 points to at least keep the chance to catch it up.
It was really really a big win. Also, it is also a Riyadh derby. The atmosphere was fantastic, thanks to Al-Shabab's and Al-Nassr's fans. It was really great to watch this football match. It was a great advertisement for the Roshn Saudi League, both in terms of atmosphere, both in terms of quality. And what I can say about this match is I'm very happy about it, but I'm also a bit, I don't know, I feel with Al-Shabab here, probably because they deserve more. They deserved at least a draw. The dynamics of the match would have told that, because they just turned it around after the first half. They had pretty solid second half, and they couldn't manage to do that. And they equalized and then remained very strong. So they've attacked. They generated much more chances than Al-Nassr during this match. It's important to mention. but Abdullah, Nassr's goalkeeper, was in a very, very good form. Very, very good form. So thanks to him on that part. And the other things to mention that Talisca again proved himself to be a very clutch player. So on very important goals, very important matches. He had great chances. He scored his goals, but he finished them with such precision. Quite easily. It was very good to see that, and he is a wonderful player. And for me, these two are to whom we can thank these 3 points. Obviously, Ronaldo was there always with 3 defenders around his neck, and also scored a penalty. I don't know what was the last time when he missed the penalty. Do you know, or do you remember? Because I just
no, I do not. I only saw on last week maybe the one video against Bayern Munich. I think that was in 2011. That's the last one I remember.
One of the greatest players, so-called Shola Ameobi, claimed that it's very difficult to miss from the penalty spot, and he was a flawless penalty taker. Just to keep it in mind.
Thanks. So really quickly summarizing, great match. And I also have to mention before the Al-Shabab fans will turn against us, that the third goal of Al-Nassr was resulted from a kind of debatable situation. There was a free throw before that, which was probably poorly decided by the referee, but it was much before before the period which is analyzed by the VAR system. So there was a huge debate on the pitch afterwards, and I could see the point of Al-Shabab here. For me, this was a match which should have ended with 1 point to each teams, but the certain class performances of Al-Nassr shows otherwise.
Just to summarize it, Al-Nassr went in front 3 times, and Al-Shabab could come back on level terms 2 times, but the third time, instead of a goal, they replied with a red card for Saudi international Abdullah Radif.
And what was the reason?
I have a question regarding Al-Shabab, because we spoke about Al-Ittifaq, and I asked or questioned Gyula's opinion where is the place of Al-Ittihad in the league. And this is the same question in case of Al-Shabab, because we spoke about them at the beginning of the season that they started weak, but they deserve a much better spot with Carrasco and the other guys. Now they have Rakitic as well, a solid midfield with Fayha, Rakitic and Carrasco, but they are still in the 11th spot, and they have teams ahead of them like Vegda or Damak or Fayha. So what's happening with them, and what could be their future, not only this season, because I think that they also could have relegation problems, because they are only 6 points from Altai. But what about the next season? So if they can still be in the league, what could be the escape plan or something like that? So could they have any more transfers or big names to the team, or what could be the solution for them? Or is this their place, the 11th or 10th place, somewhere in the mid-table?
Don't think that this should be the way to answer the first question, which you interrupted unkindly, is the red card of Radif. It was 2 yellow cards in the extra time, and if I understand it correctly, the second one was for diving, which is quite a not so clever decision in the era of VAR. So just to close this topic, to answer your question, Mark, I don't think that they should be planning for this position, but the 11th position, they probably should aim higher. They are a team with a big history in this league, and there is a chance for them similarly to Al-Ittihad to build momentum and try to climb and build a good team. And I think they are going the right direction, because if you mentioned that the Al Hilal match was not the real test for Al-Ittihad, then I think it would be unfair to judge Al Shabab against Al Nassr for the same reasons. And as Andris mentioned, they played really well. So, well, this match could have gone anywhere. Probably Al Nassr couldn't have been very angry if they lost this match, because, it was an even match. Anything could have happened, but unfortunately, Radif, instead of scoring, got a red card. That's life. But it's very difficult to judge what will happen, because the summer transfer window can shape up a lot of things, and as we already saw this season, each of the Saudi teams were very, very active in the summer transfer window. And I expect, and not only we expect, and I think a lot of experts expect the same for the next summer transfer window, that probably Al Shabab is aiming for Champions League spots.
Okay, and sorry, but just to correct myself a little bit, and also, sorry, Shabab fans, but as I see, still in December and at the beginning of February, they also beat Vecta, and as far as, they beat Damak last week, or 10 days ago, so they beat two teams which are ahead of them anyway. So maybe they could reach a better spot than the 11th one. Maybe at the top half of the table they can catch Al-Vecta certainly, and possibly Al-Fayha, I guess.
I believe that's the Rakitic factor as well now. So on the last, because now Carrasco and the likes of Carrasco there in the forward attacking section will be even more dangerous now with Rakitic behind them. So that's for sure. I want to see what's happening in this season, but I have to admit that I cannot wait for the next season as well, because that would be even stronger, and especially if the likes of Al-Ittihad or Al Shabab also starting stronger.
Yeah, probably we are looking forward to a very interesting season in that respect, but don't move so fast. In the meantime, let me confirm that Ahmed Al-Ghamdi is substituted in.
I've just seen it.
Ittihad team, who are still losing. Well,
I hope he will turn around. He will be
we are with the Al-Ghamdis. I think we have discussed a lot of things. Do you have anything else we should talk about?
Yes, not an exact topic regarding the Champions League or the Roshn Saudi League itself, but our social media platforms. You can see now we are using our logo on every social media sites. Our plan is to also have some kind of a presence of YouTube as well. So you will be able to listen our episodes in the future on YouTube, and also you will be able to find our previous episodes on YouTube as well. So if you do not have Spotify, then you can listen us there. I think we will upload our episodes still this week. And also now we have an X account, right, Andris?
Yes, formerly known as Twitter, if those who are not familiar with this.
Yeah, Twitter. Thanks for that, for Mr. Musk, who just approved our site. So that was all from my side, Dila.
Maybe one other just announcement from my side. During the last episode, we have talked about the West Asian Women's Championship, which is organized in Saudi Arabia and taking place in Saudi Arabia now. By the recording of this episode, unfortunately, the Saudi Arabia's women team did not qualify from the group stage. Actually, they resulted with 3 losses. But they had a very nice match against Lebanon, which they only won by 3-2. So this is a side news, but wanted to congratulate our women's team for this participation, and also they had pretty solid performances in the team.
Well, then I think no other topics now. So thank you for the interruptions. Yes, it's both piece of news. And both pieces of news were very important. We congratulate to the Saudi women team. And yes, we are moving forward with the conquest of social media sites. So please follow us not only on Spotify, but on our other platforms, which also include Instagram and Facebook. And thank you for joining us again, and hope you enjoyed it. And the Roshn Saudi League, although we were already looking forward to the next season, there is still a lot to play for. So stay with us and follow the remainder of this season with us. See you soon. Cheers.